In the quiet town of Harlow, nestled in the Appalachian Mountains, stories of spirits and curses were as old as the hills themselves. One story, however, was whispered with a particular fear. The tale of Ezekiel Crow, a black man with long, twisted locks, who was said to walk the forest trails at night, seeking vengeance. Ezekiel had lived in Harlow long ago, a respected herbalist known for his knowledge of the land and its secrets. But when a series of misfortunes struck the town, crops failing, livestock dying, superstition took hold. The townsfolk, desperate for a scapegoat, turned on Ezekiel, accusing him of witchcraft. One cold autumn night, they dragged him from his home and into the woods, where they bound him to a tree and left him to die. Years passed, and the town moved on, the memory of Ezekiel fading into legend. But every autumn, as the leaves turned and the nights grew long, stories would resurface of a shadowy figure with locks as dark as night, wandering the woods and seeking those who had wronged him. One such autumn, a group of teenagers decided to test the legend. Tyler, Jasmine, Lucas, and Mia had grown up hearing the stories, and in the brashness of youth, they thought it would be fun to spend a night in the woods near the very tree where Ezekiel had been left to die. Armed with flashlights and sleeping bags, they ventured into the forest, the excitement of the dare mingling with a palpable sense of unease. They found the tree easily. It stood alone in a clearing, its twisted branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. As night fell, they built a small fire and settled in, laughing nervously as they recounted the tales of Ezekiel Crow. Midnight came, and with it, an eerie stillness. The forest, usually alive with the sounds of nocturnal creatures, was silent. The fire flickered, casting long shadows that danced on the trees. Tyler, the bravest of the group, stood up and walked towards the tree. "Ezekiel Crow," he called out mockingly. "If you're out there, show yourself." The air grew colder, and the fire sputtered. The friends exchanged uneasy glances, their bravado fading. Suddenly, the silence was broken by the sound of footsteps, slow, deliberate, and drawing closer. A figure emerged from the darkness, tall and imposing, with locks hanging like thick ropes around his face. "Who dares disturb my rest?" the figure intoned, his voice low and resonant. Tyler stepped back, his bravado evaporating. We were just joking," he stammered. "We didn't mean any harm." The figure stepped into the light of the fire, and the friends could see his eyes, dark and filled with a cold fury. "You think my suffering is a joke?" he growled. In an instant, the fire went out, plunging them into darkness. Panic set in, and they fumbled with their flashlights, but the beams were weak, barely piercing the inky blackness. Ezekiel's voice echoed around them, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere. "You will know my pain," he said, and the air grew colder still. Lucas was the first to scream, clutching his chest, as if something unseen was squeezing his heart. Mia tried to run, but the ground seemed to shift beneath her feet, tripping her up. Jasmine collapsed, her eyes wide with terror, as unseen hands seemed to pull at her. Tyler, heart-pounding, stumbled back to the tree. "Please," he begged. "We're sorry." The wind picked up, howling through the clearing, and Ezekiel's locks seemed to writhe like living things. "You trespassed on sacred ground," he said. "Now you must pay the price." As dawn approached, the townspeople found the clearing empty, save for the abandoned camping gear. The teenagers were never seen again, their disappearance becoming yet another cautionary tale woven into the fabric of Harlow's history. And in the quiet of the forest, the tree stood tall, its branches whispering secrets to those who dared to listen. Ezekiel Crow still walked the woods, his locks trailing behind him like shadows, waiting for the next foolish soul to mock his name.